Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To speak on the bill.
Please proceed, lady.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 12 funds the wheels that make our government turn. It impacts everyone in here and every constituent. The courts, who are funded through this bill, have the authority to decide on the validity of everything we do in this body through their formal decisions, but also in how they implement the laws we pass. The courts rule on life and death matters, and they rule on some of the most personal aspects of people's lives. Who will be able to raise their children? I repeat, the courts decide whether you get to raise your children. The Missouri legislature passed the Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction and Enforcement Act 14 years ago. It should apply to all child custody matters in Missouri, but the courts don't teach the judges about the enforcement provisions in the act, and the bar doesn't teach lawyers about it. Practice manuals don't talk about it. Court orders even state that the law that we passed in this body doesn't apply in most cases. The courts decide whether you get to raise your children. The integrity of the courts should be a primary concern for all Missourians and for everyone in this body. One way to maintain court integrity is to ensure the way case documents are filed is secure. I offered an amendment on this bill in perfection to require basic cybersecurity measures, the same security measures you take for granted when accessing online banking or even Facebook are followed. It is vital that documents filed in a court case are filed appropriately to maintain the integrity of the court system. The courts decide whether you get to raise your children. Yet orders bearing a judge's electronic signature don't have file stamps and have Mandarin Chinese in their code. What is Chinese doing in Missouri court documents? Any open portal to our court system could be for sale. That would be very useful if, for example, Monsanto had a case in Missouri courts. They have 225 open cases right now in St. Louis County alone. Access to the court system would also be very useful to keep people in check, because the courts get to decide whether you get to raise your children and whether I get to raise mine. There is a national debate going on right now about the ethics of the judiciary, but that shouldn't be limited to the Supreme Court. Nobody should want anybody else deciding who will raise their children unless there is strong accountability, security, and ethics. I will vote to support this bill. However, as a body, we need to be aware that the courts wield enormous power over our lives and the lives of our constituents. This power should require strong security and accountability. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Further discussion?